Do you know what it feels like to watch your child disappear inside a broken body while a stranger smiles and lies right in front of you? That's the question, Michael whispered, voice trembling with a mix of rage, despair, and heartbreak. His hands clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. For months, his son Ethan had been trapped in a wheelchair, trapped in silence, trapped in a world where joy seemed impossible. And now someone close to them was tearing their fragile hope apart from within. Michael's heart pounded, caught between disbelief and the bitter sting of betrayal. How could someone claim to help yet poison the very soul of the boy he vowed to protect? If you think you've heard it all, wait. What happened next will shatter everything you thought you knew. Stay with me, because the truth behind this twisted family secret will shock you to the core and challenge everything about love, trust, and survival. Brace yourself. This is not just a story about loss. It's a fight for redemption that will leave you breathless. Michael Carter's hands trembled as he unlocked the front door of his Seattle home, the heavy silence pressing down on him like a weight he had carried for far too long. But as the door creaked open, what he saw stopped him cold. There in the middle of the living room was Ethan, his 8-year-old son, confined to a wheelchair ever since the tragic accident that had claimed the life of his mother, Emily, laughing. Genuine, heartfelt laughter. For 2 long years since that fateful rainy night, Ethan had barely responded to anything. His smiles had faded, his spark extinguished. And yet in this moment, the sound of his laughter echoed like a miracle. The room was filled with a strange warmth, as if the sun had suddenly broken through the gray Seattle skies inside the house. Pushing Ethan's wheelchair, gently Olivia Bennett, the new housekeeper, was making silly faces and doing voices. "Look out, brave lion, Ethan is coming to save the jungle animals," she exclaimed, crawling around the furniture as if it were a wild forest. Ethan's hands clapped softly, then more confidently. His eyes shone with a light Michael had forgotten existed. Tears welled up unbidden, blurring Michael's vision as thick drops slid down his cheeks. 2 tears, one for hope, one for pain, fell as the sounds of his son's laughter filled the room. But then in a cruel instant, Michael dropped his keys onto the hardwood floor. The sharp clatter echoed like a gunshot, breaking the fragile magic. Ethan's face froze. His tiny hands stopped clapping. The light in his eyes dimmed, and he shrank back into the wheelchair's cold embrace. The boy Michael knew, the boy trapped in silence, and shadow returned. Michael's heart broke all over again. "Who are you? What are you doing to my son?" he whispered shakily, caught between disbelief and desperation. Olivia stood up quickly, smoothing her apron, but her eyes remained warm and steady. "I'm Olivia Bennett. I started working here today," she said quietly. "I know no one told you, but I just want to help." Michael nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving Ethan, who now stared at his hands as if they belonged to a stranger. "He's fragile," Michael murmured, the weight of loss still crushing his voice. Olivia's gaze shifted between Michael and Ethan, silent but resolute. She didn't see fragility in Ethan. She saw loneliness. "I'll be careful," she promised. And even as she spoke, Michael could tell she wasn't going to stop playing, laughing, and trying to reach his son. Over the next 2 days, Michael watched from his office window, heart pounding, as Olivia turned his home into a stage for adventure and laughter. Outside, she tended to the garden, spinning stories to Ethan, like a modern-day fairy tale teller. "The roses told me a secret today," she said softly, making a scolding face at the bright red blooms. "They're a little dramatic, you know." Ethan watched intently, eyes tracking every move, lips twitching as if about to speak. It was more interest than Michael had seen in years, and yet a pang of guilt stabbed him. When was the last time he had tried to make Ethan laugh? When had he stopped trying, beaten down by grief and helplessness? Memories flooded back, Emily pushing Ethan on the swing, their voices rising with joy. "Higher, Mommy, higher." She had laughed the last carefree morning before everything changed. Now Ethan was clapping again, stronger this time. Michael's chest tightened with hope as Olivia returned with a tray of lunch sandwiches cut into butterfly shapes with tiny tomato antennas and lettuce wings. "The butterflies came to eat with you," Olivia smiled. "They're so hungry for your kindness." Ethan hesitated, then took a small bite, the first real voluntary movement in months. Michael almost shouted from the window, overwhelmed. "Tomorrow we'll play more," Olivia whispered to Ethan as she bent to his level. Ethan nodded gently, a faint, clear yes that seemed to breathe new life into Michael's battered heart. By the fourth day, Olivia's playful approach had become a ritual. She turned mundane chores into magical journeys. The vase became a castle, the chandelier a spaceship, and the staircase a mountain guarded by friendly dragons. Ethan's responses grew, his fingers pointing eagerly, his lips shaping sounds that were almost words. One afternoon, as children's music played softly, Olivia danced around Ethan's chair. "Come dance with me, Ethan. You move your arms, I'll move your feet." Ethan lifted his arms, swaying lightly, a fragile but powerful sign of participation. For the first time, Michael saw a glimpse of life returning to his son. Watching from the doorway, Michael longed to join, but feared shattering this fragile bubble of joy. The fear that his presence might send Ethan retreating into silence again was overwhelming. Then came the impossible moment. During afternoon tea, Olivia spun a tale of brave explorers, herself and Ethan, facing wild rivers and hungry crocodiles. "Do you have the courage, brave explorer Ethan?" she asked softly. Ethan's lips moved slowly. Michael leaned in, heart racing. "Mama?" "Mama," Ethan whispered the first clear words in 2 years. Olivia's smile was gentle, but her eyes glistened with tears. "Yes, my prince, you are magic." As Olivia left that day, her steps held a quiet determination. She had broken through the wall around Ethan's heart, but no one yet knew who was watching them from the shadows on the second floor, silently observing every hopeful moment and harboring a storm of anger. Just as hope blossomed, a new chapter began, one that would test Michael's faith and shake his world to its core. But before I continue, I want to ask you, if you were in Michael's shoes, torn between despair and hope, how would you face the fragile moments of your child's recovery? Would you dare to trust a stranger, bringing light into your dark world? Thank you so much for staying with me through this beginning. Please show your support by liking and sharing this story. Your encouragement means everything. Just as Michael began to allow himself a glimmer of hope, the fragile peace in his home started to tremble under the weight of an unexpected presence. A knock at the door interrupted the quiet evening. Michael opened it to reveal a woman whose face sent a cold shiver down his spine. Her eyes were piercing, her smile tight, almost a mirror image of Emily, his late wife. But this was Veronica, Emily's identical twin sister, newly returned after 2 years away in Europe. The moment she stepped inside, an electric tension filled the air. Olivia's warm aura seemed to freeze, her friendly smile tightening as she met Veronica's calculating gaze. And Ethan, poor Ethan, suddenly recoiled, trembling violently in his wheelchair, eyes wide with terror. "Hello, my sweet boy," Veronica whispered, her voice eerily familiar, brushing a cold kiss on Ethan's forehead. The little boy sobbed silently, unable to escape the fear that the sudden apparition had awakened in his heart. Michael felt his own world tilt on its axis. The woman who was supposed to be family, a second chance at support, now cast a long shadow over everything Olivia had begun to build. Introducing Veronica to Olivia was like mixing oil and water. Her words dripped with a chilling possessiveness. "I hope you're taking good care of my family," she said, the emphasis sharp as a knife. Olivia held her ground, but beneath her composed exterior, unease stirred. Something in Veronica's cold smile unsettled her, a darkness beneath the surface that didn't belong in a household already fragile with grief. Veronica's presence became an unspoken battle for control. She moved through the house like a storm, a force determined to reclaim what she believed was hers by blood and to erase Olivia's growing influence. In whispered conversations behind closed doors, Olivia began to piece together disturbing fragments. Veronica's story didn't add up. Despite claiming to have been abroad, she seemed unnervingly familiar with the smallest details of the household's recent changes. The new cafe down the street, the late-night radio songs Michael had started listening to, even the delivery schedule for Ethan's medical supplies. One afternoon, Olivia accidentally stumbled on a stack of documents revealing a hefty inheritance Michael had recently received after his grandfather's passing. The timing of Veronica's return suddenly seemed less coincidental. Was she here to claim a stake, to manipulate her way into the fortune Michael had inherited? Meanwhile, Ethan's fragile progress regressed. The bright spark of laughter vanished almost overnight. He stopped eating, retreating into silence, clinging to the corners of his small world. Olivia watched helplessly as the little boy who had begun to heal now shrank back under Veronica's cold gaze. Late one night, Olivia overheard a chilling exchange between Veronica and Ethan. Hidden behind the doorway, she caught Veronica whispering words that froze her blood. "If you cry too much, Daddy will get too worried. And then, well, you understand. We don't want him to leave us, do we?" The sinister implication was clear. Veronica was weaving a web of fear around a traumatized child, making him believe his own emotions could endanger his father's life. Olivia's heart shattered. When she gently approached Ethan afterward, the boy's trembling hands and desperate gestures told her the full story. Ethan was too scared to speak out, believing that any noise, any cry might cause harm. Olivia's resolve hardened. She would protect this boy no matter the cost. Yet Veronica's threats didn't stop at Ethan. Quiet conversations with Olivia revealed a darker side, a subtle, calculated intimidation. "You have a beautiful family," Veronica hissed once. "It would be a shame if anything happened to them because of your curiosity." Olivia knew then that Veronica was no ordinary sister-in-law. She was a storm waiting to break, and the safety of everyone she cared for hung by a thread. Michael, caught in the eye of this emotional hurricane, struggled with his own doubts. Veronica expertly planted seeds of mistrust. "Is Olivia really the right person to care for Ethan?" she insinuated, pointing to the boy's sudden regression. Michael's heart was torn. Could the woman who brought laughter back to his son also be the source of the new darkness? The internal battle raged. At the same time, Olivia's investigation uncovered startling truths. Veronica had never left Seattle. Photographs from local events dated during the time she claimed to be abroad told a different story. The medicine bottles with local prescriptions, the knowledge of neighborhood changes, everything pointed to a lie. Most chilling of all were Ethan's drawings, simple, trembling sketches of two women fighting in a car. Olivia realized Ethan had witnessed a traumatic event connected to his mother's death. One evening, as Olivia pondered these revelations, she was caught by Veronica, who confronted her with a venomous glare. "You think you know everything," she sneered, "but you don't know what's best for this family." That night, Olivia returned to her empty apartment to find the door ajar. Inside, muddy footprints marked the floor, and on her bathroom mirror, smeared lipstick spelled out a message that made her blood run cold. "You have a beautiful family. It would be a shame if anything happened." Fear tightened around Olivia's chest, but her determination only grew stronger. She was the only one who saw the danger clearly, and she refused to let Ethan or Michael fall victim to Veronica's poisonous influence. But as Olivia confronted these mounting threats, a new twist emerged. Michael confessed to her that the inheritance was substantial, nearly $10 million. Veronica's timing, her relentless control, suddenly made perfect sense. She wasn't just fighting for a family, she was fighting for the fortune. The story was no longer just about healing or grief, it was a battle for survival, love, and truth. In the depths of the night, Olivia sat beside Ethan's wheelchair, holding his small hand, as he slowly began to whisper words again. Her heart ached with hope and fear. The boy who had been lost was still fighting, and Olivia knew this was far from over. Now, before I continue, I want to ask you, if you were Michael, caught between love, trust, and suspicion, how would you decide whom to believe? Would you risk your family's fragile peace for the chance of truth? Thank you for staying with me through this intense chapter. Your support means everything. Please like and share this story if it touched your heart. The weight of truth had finally descended on Michael's family like a heavy, unforgiving storm. The fragile threads holding their world together had been stretched to the breaking point. Yet in the eye of the tempest, a flicker of hope still burned. The confrontation with Veronica had shaken everything Michael once believed in. How could someone so close, someone claiming family, have been so ruthless? The tangled web of lies, manipulation, and hidden motives unraveled before his eyes, revealing a darker side to grief than he could have ever imagined. That night, alone in the quiet of his study, Michael sat staring at the photographs on his desk. Images of Emily smiling, Ethan's innocent face glowing with youthful joy, and then Veronica's cold, calculating eyes. The truth was brutal, yet it carried with it a bitter relief. Now he could finally act not as a man blinded by hope, but as a father and husband determined to protect what mattered most. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions. Police investigations confirmed Veronica's sinister role. She had not only twisted the truth, but actively sabotaged Ethan's fragile recovery, poisoning the boy's mind with fear and confusion. The woman who once presented herself as a grieving sister was exposed as a merciless predator, willing to destroy a child's innocence for her own gain. Michael felt anger, guilt, and sorrow swirling within him. He blamed himself for not seeing the signs sooner, for allowing trust where suspicion should have reigned. But there was no time for self-recrimination now. Ethan needed him more than ever. Olivia, who had stood steadfast through every trial, became Michael's rock. She was no longer just the caretaker. She was the heart of their healing. With patience and unwavering love, she coaxed Ethan back from the shadows. Every smile regained, every small laugh was a victory against the darkness Veronica had tried to cast over their lives. One afternoon, under a sky brushed with soft hues of pink and gold, Olivia brought a simple kite to the backyard, a symbol of freedom, of soaring beyond pain. She sat beside Ethan, her fingers gently adjusting the strings, while Michael watched from a distance, hope stirring in his chest. Ethan's eyes widened as the kite caught the breeze dancing gracefully above. For the first time in months, his laughter echoed through the garden, light, genuine, and free. He reached out his arms as if to join the kite in its flight, a small but powerful gesture of reclaiming his childhood. Michael wiped a tear from his cheek. This moment was a miracle born from pain, a reminder that even the deepest wounds could heal with time and love. As the days grew warmer, the family found new rhythms, gentle routines of joy amidst the scars. Michael and Olivia spent quiet evenings sharing stories, planning futures that once seemed impossible. Their bond deepened, forged by shared hardship and tempered with newfound hope. One evening, sitting beneath the stars, Michael took Olivia's hand, his voice steady but tender. "I want to build something lasting, not just for Ethan, but for us. Will you stand by my side?" Tears glistened in Olivia's eyes. "Always," she whispered. "We're stronger together." The promise they made was more than a vow, it was a declaration of resilience, a testament to love's power to transform even the darkest nights. Meanwhile, Ethan's recovery continued in leaps and bounds. Although confined to his wheelchair, his spirit soared. He began to speak more, his voice growing stronger with each passing day. He no longer trembled at shadows or recoiled from the memory of Veronica's cold presence. His first clear words after the trauma came during a visit to Emily's grave. With his tiny hand clutching a bouquet of wildflowers, Ethan looked up and spoke with surprising clarity. "Mom, I'm okay now." "We're okay." Michael's throat tightened. "She's proud of you, son, and so am I." That day marked a turning point, the final chapter of pain and the beginning of healing. The family, once fractured by tragedy, was mending not just by blood, but through love, trust, and unbreakable bonds. Veronica's fate was sealed. The court sentenced her to prison, a necessary justice that brought a solemn closure, but left scars that time would tend gently. Michael and Olivia grew closer, their relationship blossoming, slowly grounded in mutual respect and shared commitment. There were no rushed moments, only the steady building of a future, brighter than the past. One bright spring afternoon, Michael took Olivia's hand in the garden, where Ethan played, nearby, the kite flying high. "Olivia," he said, kneeling beside her, "will you marry me?" Her eyes filled with tears, a smile spreading across her face. "Yes," she breathed, her heart overflowing. Ethan's joyful shout echoed, "Mom's going to be my real mom." They embraced beneath the warm sun, a family reborn from sorrow, bound not by fate alone, but by choice and love. As they stood by Emily's resting place again, Michael felt the peace he had long sought. "We'll be okay," he said softly. "Together." Ethan laid the flower gently on the stone. "Mom, thank you for sending Olivia to us. We love her." Michael squeezed Olivia's hand. The journey ahead would have its challenges, but with love as their compass, they were ready to face whatever came next. I want to ask you one. What moment in this story touched you the most and why? 2. How do you think love and forgiveness can help heal even the deepest wounds? Please share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this story, please comment. 3. If you think it could be improved, comment 1. And if it was just okay, comment 2. Also, let me know which country you're watching from. I'd love to connect with all of you. Don't forget to like, share, and send your love. Your support means the world and helps bring stories like this to life.